Gaia Patience Veenis is a graduate student in the Creative Writing MA program at San Francisco State. After studying journalism and English at San Diego State and being published in newspapers and magazines such as San Diego CityBeat, she got sidetracked with a silly corporate job. Thanks to the economy, she's now skipping down a new path. She's working on a novel, and one of her short stories can currently be found in the online journal Toad. When she's not writing fiction and creative nonfiction, she enjoys traveling around the world and sitting on strangers' couches. Please welcome Gaia.
I wanted to tell you a whole life story in that. Alright, so this is a chapter from the novel I'm working on, and just to get you guys caught up, our narrator Kat is a young woman who's been living on the streets since she was about 15, and she's about to turn 19, and her life is at a big turning point in more ways than one. And when we find her, she is about to move into the apartment, just for a short time, of a social worker that she's befriended in the last year, so here we go. It was a crisp, cold, but still sunny Saturday as noontime set in. The buses were showing up right on time, and there were no wheelchair users boarding, long red lights, mechanical problems, or other disruptions to our schedule. I made it over to Lewis's place within 30 minutes of leaving the park, and I smiled at my good fortune as I stepped back in the sunshine and walked the 2 blocks to his apartment building. I slowly lugged my stuff up the stairs and searched around the front pocket of my pack for the spare key, thinking how odd it was to have a key to some place that I could use to open it any time. Just as I was slipping a little piece of metal into Lewis's doorknob, the door abruptly swung open, and there he was, looking frightened and a little bit angry. I looked past him and saw that apparently he was the only one home again, which distracted me for a second, until I turned back and got a closer look at him. He was wearing the same clothes he'd had on the day when we parted, the day before, on the street corner, striped t-shirt and jeans, and the same hoodie he'd been wearing since the day I met him. "Where were you? I've been really worried, Kat." I couldn't believe the words that had fallen out of his mouth and tumbled onto the floor in front of me, where I continued to stare until I found something to say. "Are you my father now? I didn't think that was part of the arrangement," I said with my hand on my hips. "You never said I had a curfew, or that I had anywhere to be at any certain time, or any other rules. You said I had a place to stay, that was it. I had some business on the gate, and all my stuff was still up there, so I stayed one more night in the park. Give me a fucking break. I'd rarely agreed to stay here yesterday anyway." He tried to get a word in, but I got one last line out of my mouth before he could open his. "This isn't what I signed up for," I clicked and turned my head to the side, biting my lip just thinking of how he'd spoiled the great mood I was in. He sat down on the couch, and I slowly walked inside and stared at him, now with my arms crossed. His shoulders slipped back and he sighed. He muttered something about how he was just worried that something bad had happened and I didn't come back. I assumed you'd be home for dinner and you weren't, so I just got worried. I turned towards the kitchen and noticed pots and pans in the sink. There were no dirty plates or glasses beside them. I just threw everything into Tupperware when I realized you weren't coming home. It's in the fridge if you're hungry. It had been another stir fry with brown rice, but different from the one he'd made before. It was a new recipe this time, he said, and he really thought I'd like it. He made his own green curry sauce. I told him Thai food leftovers were my favorite thing to get when I was skirt changing. I felt a twinge of guilt, but saying sorry was never really one of my strong points. "I'm sure it would have been really good," I said. "I just had some business to take care of, and look, I got all my stuff out of the park, it's all here. Next time, I'll call if I'm not planning on coming back. This is only temporary anyway, right? So I'll be out of here before you know it." I knew I had no intention of spending the night in the park again, or anywhere else that I could immediately think of for that matter. I knew this was really my best option. I resigned myself to that fact, but he wasn't done talking. "You weren't getting high, were you?" I rolled my eyes, continued. "You know I would never judge you. I mean, I don't want it in my house, and I don't want you doing it in the first place, but more importantly, I don't want you sitting outside anymore." I thought I heard his voice crack, and he tucked his thumbs tightly under the rest of his fingers. "The truth is, Kat, that always scared the shit out of me. The first time I met you, I remember thinking, how can this girl just sleep out there? I worry about men, you know? I'm surprised you made it this far without, something bad happening." He trailed off as I stared at him for a second before responding. I started quietly. I tried to remain calm. "Okay, first calm. I wasn't getting high, not that it's none of your business, but I'm probably not going to be doing that shit anymore." I continued, my voice rising slightly again. "I mean, I don't need it. I never did. I'm not an addict like you." I didn't let his raised eyebrows and fully open mouth stop me from finishing. And besides, if any guy tried to pull some shit with me, they could even back me in the corner in the first place. I ripped their fucking dick off. I'm tougher than I look, you know. I've given more than one asshole a knee to the groin, and if that doesn't work, I have Lorraine. Lorraine was my pocket knife. She may have been small, but she did the trick in all sorts of stupid situations, and she was great for opening cans. But you don't have to worry about that, okay? I'm not going to sleep in the park anymore. My stuff's all here. This is all of it. I pointed to the large camouflage pack, sleeping bag, and miscellaneous items jammed into a couple of plastic bags that were now scattered around the entranceway where I dumped them. No turning back, even if you regret it. We left it at that. Lewis said he had to take a shower, but I think he just didn't want to talk about it anymore. Suddenly, I thought how amazing it was going to be to take my own shower in a real private bathroom. And this would be like a long shower, not like the quickies I was used to. I'd taken showers at Peach Street from time to time, but the lines were always kind of annoying on shower days. It felt like you had to get in and out before someone got pissed off. Most of the time I just washed up in the bathroom at McDonald's. Sometimes if I was really desperate, I splashed some reclaimed water on my face in one of the space potties, making sure not to get any in my mouth or my eyes. The space potties are really just the green public toilets, but I always thought they looked sort of like teleport machines from Star Trek or something like that. It wasn't a good option, but it was always the place to do whatever you had to do if you were out of other options. When Lewis was out of the shower, he showed me all the toiletries I could use. One of his roommates was a girl, if she did actually exist. But I guess she didn't want to let me use any of her stuff since he'd gone out and bought me a bunch of soaps and shampoo and things like that. He showed me how to turn the shower on. There was a trick to pulling on a faucet, and then he left. The room started to fill with steam from the cascade of hot water before I even started undressing. Beads of condensation were dripping down my forehead and into my eyes as I waited. Once the mirror was fogged up, I unzipped my black hoodie, pulled off my sweater and the lingerie top underneath, unhooked my black bra, slid off my second skin of discolored denim, and then peeled off my black panties before tossing them in the trash. I inhaled the steam deeply, and I started feeling cleansed before I even dipped my toe into the stream of water to test the temperature. It was scorching enough to turn my skin red, but still bearable, and I wanted it to be pretty hot, so I kept it as is. I looked over the items that he had picked up at Long's before digging in. It was like something heavenly, soaking up the layers of steam and lathering myself with soap from my feet to my neck, even in between my toes and behind my ears. I snickered as I saw the brown water rinsing down the drain. This is already the longest shower I've had in years, I thought, and I'm not even really started yet. Bye-bye, I snickered, as the last of the tainted brown water slipped away to the sewers and clear water appeared in its place. I washed my hair with sweet coconut-smelling shampoo, bringing out more dirt mixed with gel and who knows what else, all trickling down my back and onto the floor of the shower. I knew the dirty water sliding along my spine couldn't possibly feel different from the clean water that was raining on me, but somehow I thought I noticed a difference. And then there was a real luxury, conditioner. Once my hair was sufficiently clean, I squeezed some of the cold, white, creamy goop on my hands, and I pulled it through the few inches of hair that I had. I remembered a trick my grandma, my dad's mom, had told me when I was little. Leave the conditioner in while you wash your face and finish the rest of your shower so your hair is extra smooth by the time you rinse it out. I decided to leave it in for a while as I shaved my legs. He got me a new razor, and it was the nice kind of vertical razor. I sometimes used to shoplift razors from Long's, but they kept the good ones behind the counter, so I just pocketed the cheap single blade shit that no one would really miss. I ran my thumb across the blades at an angle just to make sure they were sharp, and I let it sting. I grabbed the bar of almond-scented soap and I coated my legs with warm bubbles of lather before removing strip after strip of hair with the razor, each time feeling the sharpness of the cutting edge across my skin and seeing clumps of blonde fuzz wash down the drain when I rinsed the blades. I'd almost forgotten how pale my legs were underneath their winter coat. I rinsed everything off my body and I finished the shower and I felt clean. I ran my hand over one of my legs and I felt how absolutely smooth it was, but I figured a little lotion couldn't hurt, like icing on a cake, as they say. I smoothed the cold lotion over my warm skin, and I slipped on the crisp flannel pajamas Lewis had left for me to wear when my clothes were washing. The matching pants and long-sleeved shirt looked brand new, but they were obviously at least from last Christmas, since they were covered in pictures of Snoopy hanging twinkly lights on his doghouse. For an instant, as I looked at myself in the mirror, I imagined I was a normal person, starting her day, perhaps a lazy Sunday, getting ready for the holidays. Another Christmas was coming up, and New Year would be coming soon. Lewis was already taking the liberty of washing my clothes, which I had quite a few of when I finished my shower. He looked surprised when the many tightly rolled garments spilled out of my backpack. Like I said, I always wanted to have some style, like it meant having a pair of hands. As my soiled tank tops, blouses, sweaters, jeans, mini skirts, undergarments, and my prize hoodie made their way through the wash cycles, I changed into a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt he had found while I was showering. He said I'd probably be more comfortable in these, although I would have been happy to keep wearing the Snoopy pajamas. I thought maybe he was embarrassed after the comment I'd made about his mommy buying all his clothes. It was obvious they had been an unused Christmas gift from his mother, especially when he didn't say anything in response. The gray sweatpants and t-shirt emblazoned with SF Social Works Symposium 94 felt so clean and sanitary. I could tell that he used scented dryer sheets from the spring breeze smell, or maybe it was Mountain Fresh. I went through the same daily routine that I did every morning as I was waiting for my clothes to go through the cycles, powdering my face, surrounding my eyes with carefully drawn black lines, coating my eyelashes with a thick layer of mascara, and pressing my hair into whatever shape I felt like having it in that day, with a generous helping of some greasy hair glue, whatever I could get my hands on. It was my only real routine, and I was pretty good at it. By the time I was finished putting my face on and we'd eaten some sandwiches, my clothes were ready. It felt kind of strange putting on the same tight jeans and black top that had so recently been coated in a layer of street life. Now they were sterilized and smelling like the same fresh spring mountain breeze that all of Venus's clothes smelled of. I struggled to pull the zipper of the jeans in my belly, and I realized they barely fit after one washing. This thing's gonna keep growing, and pretty soon I won't be able to get them on at all anymore, I thought solemnly. When I walked into the living room, back in my wardrobe, Louis asked if he could entertain me for the rest of the day. I hadn't really thought about what I was going to do after I got dressed, I told him. He admitted he had a whole weekend planned. It was going to be my birthday the next day, on Sunday, so I guess we thought we could celebrate. No pressure or anything, he said. He fumbled with some magazines on the table. I mean, it's your birthday and not mine, but I thought it might be fun to show you some of my favorite spots. But review of the plans, you know, I understand. Of course I didn't have any other plans, but I had a strange thought. This isn't a date, is it? He said it wasn't. I wasn't so certain, but what the hell did I know? I'd never been on a date. I just thought you'd like to go to some bookstores. I think there's going to be a poetry reading at a coffee shop I'd like to convert you to. And that was just what he had planned for today. A whole fucking itinerary, I tell you. He must not have any other friends, I thought, because of the whole sobriety thing. He sure does hang out at a lot of coffee shops. I agreed to spend the weekend doing things I probably would have made fun of someone else doing not long ago. It actually sounded kind of fun to tell you the truth. He even offered to buy me some books if I found anything I wanted to read. I had never paid for a book before. So we walked out the door and we got into a shiny little car again. And this time I didn't feel quite so out of place.